And here we go, wepa wepa. What's going on, mi gentes? This is Parada's Take, episode one. Teacher burnout is real, and so I'm here to talk about anything and everything about this. So first, a little bit background about myself. Um, what is burnout? How does it start? Um, how to prevent it? And you know, let's get right straight to it. And I'm gonna put everything on the table right now because I think it's really important for all teachers to listen to this and actually get some perspective. I've been teaching for over like I don't know how many. I gotta like count. I've been teaching about probably 15 years. And I've been in every single profession there is. And so let's just put this on the table. Teachers are expected to do everything but teach, and that is a problem. So let's go straight into it on like what my background is and how I can help you guys out. And if you guys kind of relate to it. First, I started off at Leap Academy as a sub, and I started that off for like 4 years. I was in college at the time, and I was a super senior. I mean, I was out of college. I was in Rome University, and I took a little bit of a hiatus. I took a little bit of a break, go RU, and was going through the motions of, having classes and going to school, trying to take my breaks. And that like that was a tough time. So 4 years I was a substitute and I was everywhere and everywhere. I was in elementary school, I was in middle school, I was in the STEM program, I was in high school, I was everywhere. Actually, the middle school and the high school were combined at the time. I'm not sure what it looks like now, but I became a TA after that for kindergarten, a bilingual course. And I was there for 3 years before they didn't want to renew my contract. Yep. And so for 7 years, I had to go look for somewhere else. And I already had a job already lined up. I was going to go work for Democracy Prep, uh, Freedom Prep, actually, which was in Mount Ephraim and that hospital. They call it the hospital school, I guess. The place on Mount Ephraim and Atlantic, that school. I was there. And I started off as a sped teacher for math, sixth grade. Yeah, middle school, tough. I know. And first year teacher, I did that. Terrible. It was just me. Just I don't know. I guess I was just not made for that, and I wasn't. And I'll go into that. Failing there definitely like showed me some perspective on what teachers actually go through. Because as a substitute, you don't get like a lot of like you don't really see the kids so frequently. You're always bouncing off to each and every school or each and every for me each and every school because Leap Academy has several schools that are close together. But you don't get to stay there unless someone is pregnant or someone's sick or has surgery or something like that, or someone just got fired or whatever like that and they have to hire somebody else. But you don't stay there for such a long time, so now I have to get used to seeing the same kids over and over again, and that was just a big like building long-term relationships with sixth graders, dealing with all the things they were dealing with. That was so tough for me, very tough. And wow. So failing that and being moved to becoming a registrar actually changed the post perspective on what it means to actually like be a part of a school and how the schools run internally. And so I love that job. I actually loved being a registrar. I get to meet all the kids, I get to meet all the parents, build relationships in that fashion, and that really helped me, like a lot. So going into year three of my ESL, I ended up not ESL, I'm sorry, my registrar. Um the ESL teacher had like a conflict of interest with the principal and just walked out of the job. Yeah. And guess who came up to me to ask me, "Hey, Prada, you used to teach and you speak Spanish. Would you like to be the ESL teacher?" And I said, "No." I definitely said no. And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, no. I like this job. I'm getting paid pretty good at the time, and I was just like, this is, you know, I like this, say I have a lot of things going on here, say I'm really building something good. And I just built a really effective, a really cool folder folder management program. And it was great. And look at me. So so that was something. I had to take the position. Oh, no, I took the position anyway. So I stood in that position for about 5 years before Freedom Prep closed down. And then mastery. So here I am in mastery for this is going to be my third year in mastery. And now I feel and I know, just confidently saying, I am one of the best ESL teachers in New Jersey. I'm not sure any other states, but I'm gonna be confident to say in New Jersey, I'm one of the best teachers. So, so that's me. And then now this is me currently, working as an ESL teacher, um, seeing the bilingual program coming up and seeing where that takes me, and just being a part of the kids' lives and just killing it. And we're just, learning English and, still keeping our culture alive. I never want to teach them English and not take that and take that away from them. That's kind of the fear of some parents. But I have definitely worked hard to be where I'm at today. And I'm so proud of where I've been in. I'm so proud of you guys coming to watch me, how far you've gone as well. Bring this down a little bit further. There you go. So let's get into what teacher burnout is. So, teacher burnout, like this you running on empty. Anybody running on empty, any burnout running on empty, but teachers, it's just they're not filling up their cup. They're not helping themselves out. They're just running on empty. And you have to do still all the things. We're psychiatrists, we're nurses, we're riot police, apparently. We're judges, we're moms, we're, in my case, dads, we're even security officers or prison officers in the morning and recess detention and dismissal, watching the kids leave, make sure they're not doing things and, that's going to get them in trouble. We do all the things and it's part of the job. And it's just something that leads to everything we have to do in our jobs and some things that are just take up so much of our time. Um, the drama, the social anxiety, the kids' actions that are parent that their parents are influencing them on. That's such a huge factor. It drains you. It takes everything out of you to try to get these kids to hey, this is what's socially acceptable. This is what's not. So I hear you when what your parents are teaching you, but I just want to just guide you in the right direction. So hopefully you can listen. Um, but with teacher burnout, I've seen teachers overworked, working like 60 hours, 70-hour weeks, staying at work late, grading papers, taking work home with them, sharpening pencils. Like it's very overwhelming on what the expectations are as a teacher. And then I've seen the disrespect. We didn't come into this profession to get disrespected by children, or adults who think they know better than us. Like, I didn't come into the profession to be disrespected by any child or any adult. I know those things happen, because there's a difference in philosophies and such, but, you know, I never thought I'd ever be disrespected by a child before, as I had when I was at Freedom Prep. Oh my God. Especially middle school kids. They're mean. Let me tell you, they are. And I've been to high school and they're more like disrespectful to each other than they are really of adults. But like, my experience, at least at that point. But, when it comes to like how mean they are. It's like, geez, like your hormones and your everything is just going crazy. You definitely need to understand and definitely learn throughout this process what is socially acceptable and what is not. Um, and there are situations, especially when I was at Freedom Prep. I'm sorry, yeah, Freedom Prep. No, no, Leap. Especially when I was at Leap, there are times. Why does it keep raising up like that? I think I feel like I need to rotate it down a little bit. There you go. Okay, so sorry, guys. I guess I should stop playing with this because it fell. I'm so sorry. That was that was not planned for me to do that. I'll tell you that much. That was not planned for me to do that. I'm gonna have to put these links together. Maybe this will be a part two. I think I want to be able to see the time. There you go. No. There you go. All right, back. Let's get back to it. Um, so, you know, especially when I was at Freedom Prep, Leap Academy, when I was at Leap Academy, that was the mistake I made before everything fell down. Um, Before I went to when I was at Leap and I was a sub, there were times that I couldn't take a lunch because my schedule was packed covering teachers. There was times where I didn't use the bathroom because I mean I had somewhat tried to sneak into the bathrooms during transitions. That's probably the worst time when kids are like kind of waiting for you at the classroom doors. There was no protocol to get a fresh face. So like there was no one you can call to be like, hey, I just need a break. These kids are going crazy and I just need just someone else just to be here for like 5 minutes and then I can come back and just do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? There was no protocol for that. And I felt like that was just such a disservice to us not to have that for teachers or substitutes, not to have that. And then coming into a situation, whether you're a substitute or you're a teacher, and then you have to deal with, kids who are just, having just the roughest time and you want to be there for them. And then you don't really know like how to approach it because every situation is so different than the other. And having that background information, getting to know the kid definitely makes a huge difference. Um, but that's how the burnout starts. Let me just like go back to the original point. You don't use the bathroom. You don't take your lunch. Don't even eat your lunch or you forget your lunch. You don't allow yourself the breaks you need in order to become a successful human being in any part. But in teaching, it definitely does take a huge toll on you because you're dealing with individuals, younger individuals, all the time. And so then that becomes the norm. It becomes a norm to not take your breaks. It becomes a norm to step in when a kid's having trouble and you know you need to take your break. You know you need to fill up your cup. And that's the problem. And we need to understand that. We have to control what we can control. And controlling eating, and controlling taking our breaks, and controlling like communicating, getting that, having a protocol for a fresh face definitely does wonders. That's something I feel like is something that's missing. And now let's find out like how to prevent it. What can we do better as teachers to not have that happen? Half the teachers, like, and within the first 5 years, they leave the profession. They don't want to be teachers anymore. I'm in a Camden of Color, an amazing Camden of Color group, and there were young ladies just like, I'm sick of this. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow. Like, I was there at that point. I remember that. They were just like, I'm sick of this. I don't have any answers to what's going on. I'm like, no one does. No one really does. But you can only control what you can control. And they were just done. They were done. And they had dreams. They had dreams of becoming teachers. They had dreams of making a difference. They had dreams of just having like, doing the right thing and teaching these kids amazing things and seeing their lights, the lights go over their heads, the bulb and stuff. And they have those ideas and they're becoming these amazing people when they get older. And you'll see the fruits of your labor years later. But now it's just you're going through the process of going through the fire and with everything that they're going through outside, inside, and it's just like all at once, all at once. And when it gets that way, we know that we have to know what our value is because like any job, they'll allow you to like just work yourself to death. A lot of jobs will do that. because there's always somebody else waiting for you in the back. And there's always a person from college coming in. There's always a new person applying for a job. You know what I'm saying? There's always a new person there. So like it's always important to understand that your health is so important to the overall well-being of your family and your friends. And so I would say why do people even want to stay in this position? In this position, I wanted to kind of pinpoint this. There was something that was very powerful for me. So listening to this, why do people stay in this position? If it's Is it financial? Is it like summers off? Is that really worth your sanity? Is it worth everything that you're doing right now? You're going through, you know? Is it the pay? Is it the comfortness or, the familiarity? What is it that makes you stay? How much did they pay you to give up on your power to walk away? How much was it? There's a number in your head right now. How much money did they offer you to take away that power to walk away? That right there, that number right there that you're thinking about right now, that part. How much would it take for you to walk away? What are you willing to do to either change professions or to change where you are? To change your value? That's the key right there. I think we should sit on that. So how do we prevent this? What can we do as people to make sure that we're not making these same mistakes over and over again and just we gotta break this cycle. We gotta break this cycle. So the tips I have is like first working out, exercising. If you know me and you know my page and you seen my prep time push-ups and you seen my PR Fit Warrior on Instagram, like I love exercising. It's kind of tough with my son, but I'm trying to make it work as much as possible. I got to get fit, got to get, as me and my boy Muselli says, like, we're gonna get dirty bulk or something like that. I'm never cutting, I'm always bulking. But working out is definitely important. Take that time to definitely get the frustrations out. Two, like visit family and friends. Go to their events. Okay. And I'm talking to all my, teachers out there. Come to my bonfires, please. All right. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of things on our bonfires. We have a ton of bonfires, and it's an amazing time. And I know things get in the way, so I don't take it personal. Another thing is when we talk about just let the kids grade. Let the kids grade. Let them grade. It's they're not gonna sabotage each other. I don't think they would. I think they'll be very honest, especially if you're setting the goals and everything. If you're setting the goals, setting expectations, stuff like that. They love the grade. They love that responsibility. Give it to them. Delegate. I keep shaking the table. I need to chill. Um, the next thing is focus on what you can control. That's super important. Don't try to control every single thing. There's some things you just gotta let go. Win the battle, don't win the war. I'm sorry, reverse. Win, in order to win the war, you gotta lose some battles. But win the war, not just one battle. You gotta pick and choose your fights. Another thing is take your days. Please take your days. Don't worry about the end of the year will give you money, you could sell it. Take your days. If you're feeling sick, if you're just not up for it, you just want a fresh face, take your days. That's why we have substitutes. Take your days, that's really important. And do what you got to do for some self-love and fill up your cup. And last but not least, get some sleep. I don't get much sleep. Because I'm Batman. So it's continuing, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? But get some sleep. That's the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Lay down, get a beautiful routine going on, and just knocked out by, 9, 10 o'clock. That's what I'm about to do. I'm starting this podcast early so I can get some sleep. I had a lot of things going on, so I want to make sure I take care of business. But get some sleep. That is a superpower right there. And it makes a world of a difference. And make sure we're eating, make sure we're taking that time to debrief, make sure we're exercising, getting sleep, taking our time off. I'm running out of fingers right now. I'm visiting family and friends. Um, Delegate the responsibilities around the classroom. Those are the tips I would say to wrap this all up in order to, prevent or, you know, do your thing, defeat teacher burnout. So, I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned about me, you learned about, ways to prevent it, what is a burnout, and just everything else that I've mentioned today. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I know the podcast kind of the thing fell down. I had to bring it up again. It's a whole thing, but hopefully I can like edit it out and stuff, and you know that's all. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Like, comment, share, whatever it is. This is for you. This is Prada's Take. Copy cool. Peace out.